A. There is a curious misunderstanding about love. Most people search for loud declarations, dramatic sacrifices, or endless words as proof that someone cares. A. They believe attachment announces itself through grand gestures, but the deepest emotions rarely arrive with noise. They move quietly, almost invisibly, beneath the surface of ordinary moments. A. The first shift is rarely dramatic. It does not arrive with a confession, nor does it announce itself through extravagant gestures. Instead, it begins in silence, almost unnoticed. A. A man who is emotionally attached starts paying attention in ways that even he may not fully understand. His focus changes, not because he forces it to, A, but because the mind naturally gives greater importance to what the heart values. Attention becomes effortless. What once seemed like ordinary details now carry unexpected significance. A. This is because emotional attachment changes perception. The human mind is constantly filtering information, deciding what deserves to be remembered and what can be forgotten. A. Most encounters with people remain on the surface, leaving only faint impressions. But when someone becomes emotionally meaningful, the mind quietly rewrites its priorities. A. Details that others overlook become impossible to ignore. A passing comment, a subtle change in tone, or a brief expression across the face suddenly holds weight. A. He begins remembering things that seemed insignificant when they were first said. Perhaps it was a favorite book mentioned in passing, a childhood memory shared without much thought. A. Or a habit that only appears during moments of stress. These pieces of information are no longer random fragments. They become part of a larger picture that he unconsciously assembles. A. He is not collecting facts out of obligation. Rather, his attention is naturally drawn toward understanding the person who now occupies an important place in his inner world. A. There is a profound difference between looking at someone and truly noticing them. Looking is passive. It requires little effort and often leaves no lasting impression. Noticing, however, A, is an active process. It means observing changes that others fail to see. He may recognize that your laughter sounds different after a difficult day, A, or that your silence carries a meaning, unlike the silence of simple exhaustion. He begins distinguishing between the many shades of your emotions, even when no words are spoken. A. Such awareness often surprises him. He may find himself recalling conversations long after they have ended, or remembering details that even you have forgotten mentioning. A. This happens because emotional attachment sharpens attention. The mind becomes more alert to anything connected with the person it values. A. It is not a conscious strategy, but a quiet transformation taking place beneath awareness. This heightened attention also creates a deeper form of listening. A. Many people hear words only to prepare their next response. They listen just enough to continue the conversation. But emotional attachment encourages a different kind of listening. A. Instead of searching for what to say next, he begins searching for what remains unsaid. He becomes interested not only in your words, but also in the emotions hidden behind them. He notices pauses, A. Hesitation, enthusiasm, disappointment, and the subtle shifts that reveal more than language ever could. Sometimes this attentiveness appears in the smallest moments. A. He remembers how you take your coffee, notices when your energy seems unusually low, or recognizes that a smile is masking worry rather than expressing happiness. A. These observations are not rehearsed acts designed to impress. They arise because his awareness has become increasingly connected to your well-being. Over time, A. This attention develops into something even more meaningful. He does not simply observe who you are today. He begins recognizing patterns. He understands what makes you withdraw, A. What restores your confidence, what excites your imagination, and what quietly burdens your thoughts. This growing understanding allows him to respond with greater sensitivity rather than assumption. A. In the end, the clearest evidence of emotional attachment is not found in how often someone speaks, but in how deeply they notice. When a person truly matters, attention ceases to be an effort. A. It becomes instinctive, revealing that genuine care is measured not by the volume of affection expressed, but by the quiet precision with which another person's inner world is seen. A. When a man becomes emotionally attached, something subtle begins to change within him. Your emotional world no longer exists outside of his own. The feelings you experience begin to echo inside him, A. Sometimes without his awareness. Your happiness can lift his mood, while your sadness can create a quiet heaviness that follows him throughout the day. This is not because he has lost his identity, A, but because emotional attachment naturally creates psychological connection. The boundary between your feelings and my feelings becomes less rigid, allowing empathy to take root, A. This transformation is often invisible at first. A man who has grown accustomed to hiding his emotions may not even recognize what is happening, A. He may simply notice that he cannot concentrate after sensing disappointment in your voice. He may find himself replaying a conversation, wondering if something is troubling you, A. Even if you insist that everything is fine, a small part of his mind continues searching for answers. The emotional state of someone he deeply cares about becomes impossible to dismiss, A. Many people assume love is measured by passion or constant excitement. Yet emotional attachment reveals itself more clearly through emotional sensitivity. The more significant a person becomes, A, the more their inner experiences begin influencing our own. This is one of the mind's quiet adaptations. We naturally become attuned to those who matter most. Their expressions, tone of voice, A, and even moments of silence begin carrying emotional information that we instinctively respond to. A simple change in your behavior may be enough to alter his entire day, A. If your usual warmth is replaced by distance, he notices. If your laughter sounds forced rather than genuine, he senses it. Even when he cannot explain why something feels different, A, his intuition tells him that your emotional landscape has shifted. This awareness often appears before logic has time to provide an explanation, A. It is important to understand that this sensitivity is not about becoming emotionally fragile. Rather, it reflects the mind's increasing investment in another person's well-being, A. What affects you begins affecting him because your life has become emotionally meaningful within his own psychological world, A. This is why emotionally attached individuals often worry when communication suddenly changes or when someone they care about seems unusually quiet, A. Their concern does not arise from control, but from connection. There are moments when he may try to ignore these feelings, A. He may tell himself that he is overthinking or imagining problems that do not exist. Yet the emotional bond continues operating beneath conscious thought. He finds himself checking in, A, asking if you are okay, or simply remaining close because something inside him refuses to be indifferent. His actions are often driven by an instinct to restore emotional balance, A, even if he cannot clearly explain that impulse. This growing sensitivity also changes the way he experiences joy. Your achievements begin to feel personally rewarding, A. Your excitement becomes contagious. Watching you succeed or smile creates genuine satisfaction because your happiness has become intertwined with his own emotional experience, A. He no longer celebrates only his victories. He finds meaning in yours as well. However, this connection also brings vulnerability, A. Caring deeply means accepting that another person's pain can reach places within you that once seemed protected, A. He may feel helpless when you struggle because emotional attachment creates a desire not only to witness your pain but also to ease it. Even when he cannot solve the problem, A. He wants to stand beside you through it. Presence becomes more valuable than perfect solutions. This emotional responsiveness often challenges the image many men have been taught to maintain, A. Society frequently encourages emotional distance, suggesting that strength is measured by self-containment. Yet genuine attachment quietly dissolves that illusion, A. The stronger the emotional bond becomes, the more difficult it is to remain untouched by another person's experiences, A. True strength is not found in emotional detachment but in the willingness to remain present despite emotional discomfort. Over time, A. This shared emotional rhythm becomes one of the clearest signs of deep attachment. He begins anticipating your emotional needs, offering comfort before you ask for it, A. Recognizing when you need silence instead of advice, or sensing when encouragement matters more than solutions. These responses are rarely calculated, A. They emerge because empathy has become instinctive. When someone occupies an important place in the heart, indifference becomes impossible. Their joys resonate within you, A. Their struggles leave an imprint on your thoughts, and their emotional well-being becomes something you naturally carry alongside your own. That quiet, A. invisible connection is one of the deepest expressions of genuine, emotional attachment. Attraction may capture attention, but emotional attachment changes the nature of that attention, A. In the beginning, curiosity is often directed toward appearance, charm, or the excitement of discovering someone new. These qualities create interest, but they rarely sustain it on their own. A. When a man becomes emotionally attached, his curiosity begins to move beneath the surface. He no longer wants to know only what you do or how you look. A. He wants to understand who you are when no one else is watching. This shift is subtle but profound. Instead of asking questions merely to keep a conversation going, he begins asking because the answers genuinely matter to him. He wants to know what shaped your beliefs, what experiences left lasting marks on your heart, and what dreams continue to pull you forward. Every story you share becomes another piece of a puzzle he feels compelled to understand. It is no longer about gathering information, It is about discovering the person hidden beneath the personality you present to the world. Most people spend much of their lives showing only selected parts of themselves. They reveal confidence while concealing fear, offer smiles while hiding disappointment, and speak of success while quietly carrying old wounds. These hidden dimensions are often invisible to casual relationships. But emotional attachment creates a desire to look beyond appearances. A man who genuinely cares begins sensing that every visible behavior has an invisible cause. Rather than judging your reactions, he becomes curious about where they come from. He notices that certain topics make your voice softer, while others fill you with energy. He wonders why particular memories remain vivid after so many years. He becomes interested in the values that guide your decisions, the principles you refuse to compromise, and the fears you rarely admit aloud. These questions are not driven by suspicion. They are driven by a quiet longing to understand the landscape of your inner world. As this curiosity grows, something important changes in the relationship. Conversations become less about exchanging facts and more about exploring meaning. He wants to know how you interpret the world, what gives your life purpose, and what brings you peace during difficult moments. The dialogue shifts from the external events of daily life to the deeper realities that shape your identity. This kind of understanding requires patience. Human beings are not simple stories waiting to be read. Every person carries contradictions, unresolved conflicts, and emotions that cannot always be explained with logic. A man who is emotionally attached begins accepting these complexities rather than trying to eliminate them. He understands that knowing someone is not about placing them into neat categories, but about remaining curious even when the answers are incomplete. There is also a growing respect for your individuality. Emotional attachment does not seek to erase differences. Instead, it becomes fascinated by them. He may not always agree with your opinions or fully understand your perspective, yet he wants to know how you arrived there. Your uniqueness becomes something to appreciate rather than something to change. This willingness to explore another person's perspective reflects emotional maturity. Because genuine understanding begins with the recognition that every mind experiences reality differently. This deeper curiosity also transforms the way he listens. He pays attention not only to what you say, but to what your words reveal about your hopes and struggles. A simple sentence can lead him to think about your childhood, your ambitions, or the experiences that continue shaping your choices. He begins noticing patterns instead of isolated moments, recognizing that your present reactions are often connected to your past experiences. At times, this desire to understand extends beyond words altogether. He observes your expressions, your habits, the way your mood changes in different environments, and the things that bring genuine peace to your mind. He notices when your smile is effortless and when it feels carefully constructed. These observations are not made to analyze or control you, but to become more aware of the emotional reality you live with every day. Over time, this search for understanding creates emotional safety. When someone feels genuinely seen, they become less afraid of revealing their imperfections. Masks begin to fall away because there is no longer a need to perform. A relationship built on understanding allows honesty to replace image. It becomes a space where both people can exist without constantly protecting themselves from judgment. Perhaps this is the greatest difference between attraction and emotional attachment. Attraction asks, "How do you make me feel?" Emotional attachment asks, "Who are you beneath everything the world can see?" One seeks excitement, the other seeks truth. And when a man reaches that point, his greatest desire is no longer simply to be close to you, but to truly understand the person you are, in all your complexity, strength, vulnerability, and depth. In the early stages of attraction, emotions often burn with extraordinary intensity. Every conversation feels exciting, every meeting carries anticipation, and every small interaction seems filled with possibility. This intensity can be intoxicating, leading many people to believe that powerful emotions are the ultimate proof of love. Yet intensity has one unavoidable characteristic. It is difficult to sustain. Like a flame that burns too brightly, it eventually consumes its own fuel. Emotional attachment, however, follows a different path. It replaces the need for constant excitement with something far more enduring: consistency. A man who is emotionally attached no longer feels the need to impress through dramatic displays or unpredictable gestures. Instead, he begins showing his feelings through reliability. He becomes someone whose presence can be trusted, not because every day is extraordinary, but because he remains steady, even when life becomes ordinary. This quiet consistency reveals a deeper emotional commitment than any grand declaration ever could. The human mind naturally seeks stability in relationships that matter. When someone becomes emotionally significant, the desire to create security often becomes stronger than the desire to create excitement. This is why emotionally attached individuals gradually shift their focus from moments of passion to patterns of dependability. They understand, consciously or unconsciously, that trust is built not through isolated events, but through repeated actions over time. Consistency appears in countless small ways. He remembers to check in after an important event. He follows through on promises, even the ones that seem insignificant. If he says he will call, he makes the effort to call. If he offers support, he does not disappear when difficulties arise. His actions become predictable in the healthiest sense of the word. You begin to know that his care is not dependent on his mood, convenience, or temporary enthusiasm. This kind of behavior often goes unnoticed because it lacks the drama people associate with romance. Grand gestures capture attention, while steady presence quietly blends into everyday life. Yet when difficulties appear, it is consistency, not intensity, that determines whether a relationship survives. Anyone can express affection when circumstances are easy. Remaining emotionally available during stress, disappointment, or uncertainty requires a much deeper level of attachment. There is also profound psychological reason behind this shift. Emotional attachment gradually transforms another person's well-being into a lasting priority. As a result, care is no longer expressed through occasional emotional highs, but through ongoing investment. He begins thinking less about creating memorable moments and more about becoming a dependable part of your life. His goal is no longer simply to make an impression, but to build something that can withstand time. Consistency also creates emotional safety. Human beings naturally relax around people whose behavior is stable and trustworthy. When actions repeatedly match words, uncertainty begins to fade. There is no constant need to question intentions or wonder whether today's affection will disappear tomorrow. Predictability in this sense is not boredom, it is security. It allows both people to stop defending themselves against disappointment and begin investing more fully in the relationship. This steadiness also reflects emotional maturity. Impulsive feelings often rise and fall with circumstances, but genuine attachment continues even when emotions fluctuate. There will always be days when stress, work, or personal challenges affect one's mood. A man who is emotionally attached understands that commitment cannot depend entirely on temporary feelings. Instead of withdrawing whenever emotions become complicated, he continues choosing the relationship through consistent effort. Such consistency is often demonstrated through ordinary moments rather than extraordinary ones. He remembers important dates, notices changes in your routine, and makes time for conversations even when life is busy. These actions may appear small in isolation, but together they create a powerful message. You are not an afterthought. You occupy a stable place in his priorities. Over time, these repeated acts of reliability begin shaping the relationship itself. Trust grows quietly, almost invisibly, because each consistent action strengthens the belief that he will remain present. Emotional attachment becomes less about proving love through words and more about expressing it through dependable behavior. His care is no longer measured by how passionately he speaks in a single moment, but by how faithfully he continues showing up across countless ordinary days. This is why consistency often reveals emotions more accurately than intensity ever can. Excitement may inspire promises that disappear with changing circumstances, but consistent actions reveal what truly holds value in a person's heart. When a man repeatedly chooses presence over absence, effort over convenience, and reliability over unpredictability, he demonstrates that his feelings have moved beyond temporary attraction into something far more lasting. In the end, the strongest relationships are rarely built upon moments that take your breath away. They are built upon the quiet certainty that someone will continue to stand beside you, day after day, even when there is nothing extraordinary happening at all. Emotional attachment does not simply bring two people closer. It gradually changes the way a person relates to their own inner world. One of the clearest signs of this transformation is the slow lowering of emotional defenses. A man who once guarded every feeling with silence begins, often without realizing it, to reveal parts of himself that he has kept hidden for years. This process is rarely dramatic. It unfolds through small moments of honesty, quiet admissions, and a growing willingness to be seen without the protection of a carefully constructed image. Every person builds emotional walls for a reason. Some are shaped by disappointment, others by rejection, betrayal, or the fear of appearing weak. Over time, these experiences teach people to reveal only what feels safe. They learn to control their expressions, hide their insecurities, and present a version of themselves that seems confident and unaffected. While these defenses may provide temporary protection, they also create distance. A person cannot experience true emotional closeness while remaining completely hidden behind emotional armor. When a man becomes emotionally attached, something begins to challenge those defenses. He starts sensing that maintaining constant emotional distance no longer serves him in the same way. The relationship creates a space where authenticity gradually feels less dangerous than pretense. This does not mean he suddenly shares every thought or every painful memory. Trust develops slowly, and genuine vulnerability follows the pace of that trust. At first, the changes may appear almost insignificant. He admits that he had a difficult day, instead of pretending everything is fine. He shares a fear about the future that he would normally keep to himself. He speaks about a childhood memory that still affects him, or acknowledges a mistake without immediately trying to justify it. These moments might seem ordinary, but they represent something much deeper. They reveal a growing belief that he can be imperfect without losing acceptance. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness. In reality, it requires far more courage than emotional detachment. It is easy to hide behind confidence, sarcasm, or silence, because these behaviors reduce the risk of emotional exposure. It is far more difficult to reveal uncertainty, disappointment, or fear, knowing that another person now has the power to respond with either understanding or judgment. Emotional attachment makes this risk feel worthwhile, because the desire for genuine connection becomes stronger than the desire for perfect self-protection. This shift also changes the nature of communication. Conversations become less focused on external events and more centered on internal experiences. Instead of discussing only work, responsibilities, or daily routines, he begins sharing thoughts that reflect his emotional life. He talks about what inspires him, what keeps him awake at night, what he regrets, and what he quietly hopes for. These are the conversations that create true intimacy, because they move beyond information and into understanding. As his defenses lower, another important change takes place. He becomes more comfortable admitting that he does not have every answer. Many people feel pressured to appear strong, capable, and emotionally unshakable. Yet genuine attachment creates enough safety for uncertainty to exist without shame. He no longer feels the constant need to solve every problem immediately or hide every moment of doubt. Instead, he begins trusting that honesty is more valuable than appearing invincible. This growing openness also strengthens empathy. The more he reveals his own struggles, the more deeply he understands the struggles of another person. Shared vulnerability creates mutual compassion, because it reminds both people that beneath their different experiences, they carry similar fears, hopes, and emotional needs. Judgment becomes less important, while understanding becomes more natural. However, vulnerability is rarely a straight path. There are moments when old fears return. Past disappointments may cause him to hesitate or retreat temporarily. He may reveal something deeply personal one day and become unusually quiet the next day. This inconsistency does not necessarily indicate a lack of attachment. Often, it reflects the internal conflict between the desire for closeness and the instinct for self-protection. Emotional growth rarely moves in a perfect line. It advances through cycles of openness, reflection, and renewed trust. Over time, these repeated moments of honesty reshape the relationship. Emotional safety grows because both people begin experiencing one another without masks. There is less pressure to perform, impress, or maintain an image of perfection. Instead, authenticity becomes the foundation of connection. A man who is emotionally attached gradually realizes that being accepted for who he truly is brings a deeper sense of peace than being admired for a carefully maintained facade. Perhaps this is the quiet miracle of emotional attachment. It gives a person permission to stop carrying the exhausting weight of constant emotional defense. Behind every wall is a human being longing to be understood, and behind every guarded silence is a fear of rejection. When trust becomes strong enough, those walls no longer feel necessary. They begin to fall, not all at once, but one honest conversation at a time, revealing a person who is no longer trying to appear perfect, but simply trying to be real. A subtle transformation takes place when a man becomes emotionally attached. Without making a conscious decision, he begins to think beyond the boundaries of his own life. His future is no longer imagined as a path he walks alone. Whether he realizes it or not, another person's presence begins to appear in his thoughts, his plans, and the choices he makes. This shift does not happen because he feels obligated. It happens because emotional attachment naturally changes the way the mind organizes its priorities. In the beginning, most decisions are centered around individual needs. A person thinks about personal goals, career ambitions, daily routines, and future aspirations, without considering how someone else might fit into that picture. Independence shapes every choice. But when someone becomes emotionally significant, the perspective slowly widens. He begins asking questions he never asked before. Not, what do I want? But, how will this affect us? The difference may seem small, yet it reflects a profound psychological change. This shift is rarely announced with dramatic words. It appears quietly in ordinary moments. He may consider your schedule before making plans. He remembers dates that matter to you, thinks about places you would enjoy visiting, or adjusts his routine so there is time to spend together. These actions often seem insignificant when viewed individually, but together they reveal that your presence has become part of the framework through which he views his life. Emotional attachment also changes the way he thinks about opportunities and challenges. When faced with an important decision, he no longer evaluates it solely by asking whether it benefits him. He naturally wonders how it might influence the relationship. A new job, a move to another city, or a major life decision is no longer just a personal matter. Your happiness, your comfort, and your future begin occupying space in the decision-making process. This is not the result of pressure or sacrifice. It is the natural consequence of caring deeply about another person's well-being. There is a psychological reason for this transformation. The human mind is designed to protect what it values. As emotional attachment grows, another person's welfare becomes linked to one's own sense of fulfillment. Their security matters because their happiness contributes to your own emotional stability. Their struggles no longer feel like distant events, but become experiences you instinctively want to navigate together. This change also affects the way he imagines the future. Conversations gradually shift from immediate plans to long-term possibilities. He becomes interested in discussing goals, dreams, and hopes that extend far beyond the present moment. These discussions are not simply about making plans. They are about exploring whether two lives can continue moving in the same direction. Emotional attachment encourages a person to imagine tomorrow with someone, rather than merely beside someone. What makes this transformation especially meaningful is that it often happens without conscious effort. He may catch himself thinking about your opinion before making a purchase, wondering whether you would enjoy a certain place, or considering how a decision might influence your shared experiences. These thoughts arise naturally because your existence has become psychologically integrated into his own. The future is no longer imagined through the lens of individuality alone. This integration also creates a deeper sense of responsibility. Responsibility in this context is not about obligation or control. It is about recognizing that one's actions have emotional consequences for another person. He becomes more mindful of promises, communication, and reliability, because he understands that consistency creates trust. His choices begin reflecting not only personal values, but also the desire to protect something emotionally meaningful. At the same time, emotional attachment does not eliminate individuality. A healthy relationship allows both people to maintain their own identity while building a shared vision. Including someone in future thinking does not mean abandoning personal dreams. Instead, it means finding ways for those dreams to exist alongside another person's aspirations. This balance requires maturity because genuine attachment seeks partnership rather than possession. There are moments when this shift becomes especially visible. During uncertainty or difficult decisions, his first instinct may be to ask for your perspective. Not because he cannot decide on his own, but because your thoughts genuinely matter to him. Your viewpoint becomes valuable, not as permission, but as guidance. This reflects trust, respect, and the recognition that your understanding can help him see beyond his own perspective. As emotional attachment deepens, even simple thoughts begin carrying traces of togetherness. A beautiful place reminds him of sharing it with you. A meaningful achievement feels incomplete without telling you about it. A future goal becomes more exciting because he imagines experiencing it alongside someone who has become emotionally significant. These quiet mental shifts reveal that the relationship has moved beyond temporary affection into lasting psychological importance. Perhaps this is one of the clearest signs of genuine emotional attachment. A man no longer measures the future solely by what he hopes to accomplish for himself. Instead, he begins imagining a life where another person's happiness, growth, and presence naturally belong within that vision. Without being asked, without making grand declarations, his thoughts begin making room for someone else, and in that silent act, the depth of his attachment becomes unmistakably clear. In a world that often mistakes constant communication for genuine connection, it is easy to believe that emotional attachment is measured by the number of messages sent, the frequency of compliments, or the scale of romantic gestures. Yet the deepest form of attachment reveals itself in something much quieter. It is found in presence. Not simply physical presence, but emotional presence. The ability to be fully attentive, fully engaged, and fully available in moments that require nothing more than understanding. Many people can be present during celebrations. They can share excitement when life is easy, laugh when circumstances are favorable, and enjoy the thrill of new experiences. But emotional attachment is tested in ordinary moments, the quiet spaces where there is no audience, no excitement, and no reward for staying. It is there, in the simplicity of everyday life, that genuine presence becomes visible. A man who is emotionally attached does not always feel compelled to fill silence with words. He understands that connection is not sustained by constant conversation, but by the comfort of simply being there. Two people can sit together without speaking, yet still feel deeply understood. This kind of silence is not empty. It is filled with trust. It reflects a relationship that no longer depends on performance or entertainment to maintain closeness. Emotional presence also means paying attention without distraction. In an age where attention is constantly divided, offering someone your complete focus has become increasingly rare. When a man genuinely cares, he listens not because he is waiting for his turn to speak, but because your thoughts hold value in his mind. He notices your expressions, hears the emotions beneath your words, and responds to what you truly mean, rather than merely reacting to what you say. This quality of attention creates something every human being longs for, the feeling of being seen. Many people spend years surrounded by others while still feeling invisible. They are heard, but not understood, noticed, but not truly known. Emotional attachment changes this experience. Presence communicates a simple but powerful message. In this moment, nothing is more important than understanding you. There are times when emotional presence requires doing very little. Someone may not need advice, solutions, or explanations. They may simply need another person, willing to remain beside them, without trying to fix everything. A man who is emotionally attached gradually learns that companionship often heals more deeply than perfect answers. Instead of rushing to eliminate discomfort, he becomes willing to share it. This willingness reflects emotional maturity. Many people feel uncomfortable in the presence of another person's pain because they believe they must immediately remove it. Genuine attachment recognizes that some struggles cannot be solved instantly. During those moments, presence itself becomes an act of compassion. Remaining beside someone through uncertainty says more than any carefully chosen words ever could. Emotional presence also reveals itself through consistency during difficult seasons. It is easy to remain close when everything feels exciting and effortless. The true measure of attachment appears when life becomes complicated. Stress, disappointment, failure, or personal challenges often cause superficial relationships to weaken. Yet someone who is deeply attached does not disappear simply because circumstances become uncomfortable. Their presence becomes even more meaningful during moments of hardship. Another remarkable aspect of genuine presence is that it respects emotional space. Being emotionally available does not mean demanding constant closeness. It means recognizing when another person needs conversation and when they need silence. Sometimes the greatest expression of care is knowing when to speak. At other times, it is knowing when quiet companionship offers greater comfort than any advice. Presence also transforms ordinary experiences into meaningful memories. A simple walk, sharing a meal, watching the sunset, or sitting together after a long day may seem insignificant to an outside observer. Yet these moments often become the foundation of lasting relationships. They remind us that connection is not built only during extraordinary events, but through repeated experiences of simply sharing life together. As emotional attachment deepens, presence becomes increasingly natural rather than intentional. He no longer asks himself whether he should call, listen, or make time. These actions stop feeling like responsibilities and begin feeling like expressions of who he has become. Caring is no longer something he performs. It becomes part of his character. His attention, patience, and willingness to remain emotionally available emerge without calculations because your well-being has become genuinely important to him. Ultimately, genuine emotional attachment is not defined by how loudly someone declares their feelings, but by how faithfully they remain present when those feelings are tested. Words can be spoken in a single moment, promises can be made in passing, and grand gestures can briefly capture attention. But quiet presence, offered consistently without expectation of reward, reveals something far deeper. It shows that another person's existence has become woven into your own emotional life. And perhaps that is the clearest sign of all. Not that someone says they care, but that they continue showing up, fully present, again and again, even when no one else is watching.